biotechnology, skill development, livelihood, as well as science and technology. So pretty wide-ranging portfolio. And he's just flown into London along with his colleagues at ICC, with whom a lot of universities in the UK already do lots of wonderful work. So please, can I welcome to the stage Dr. Ashwathnarayan. Let's give him a big round.
Good morning to all the dignitaries who are assembled here for the Commonwealth Education Tour with a specific topic: Bridge India, Ideas for India. I would like to congratulate all the organizers for taking so much of interest, specifically for India as a common nation, caring for each other, extending the cooperation for the Commonwealth countries. The Commonwealth countries have been working very closely for many years, that is more than 75 years, for particularly India, we got independence 74 years back. After that, we have been working closely with regard to many issues. One among them is the education. On this occasion, there are a lot of things happening in our country under the leadership of our Honorable Prime Minister. So far, we had two national education policies, the third national education policy. After 34 years, under the leadership of our Honorable Prime Minister, it was announced the National Education Policy 2020, which was announced on the July 29th of 2020, and it's applicable from the year 2021. Probably this education policy is a very forward-looking policy. It is definitely going to transform our country. Probably in this direction, I would like to share a few things. The national education policy envisions complete overall and re-energizing of the higher education system to overcome the challenges and thereby deliver high quality higher education and education with equity, the same tagline: progression, equity and inclusion. With equity and inclusion, its vision includes the following key changes to the current system. Moving towards a higher education system consisting of large multidisciplinary universities and colleges, with at least one in each and every district. Our structure has been, the units have been built at the district level, taluka levels, and we do have our own structure. Based on each district, we need to have a large multidisciplinary universities and colleges. With more higher education institutions across India that offer medium of instruction and programs in local and Indian languages as well as in English. B. Moving towards a more multidisciplinary undergraduate education. Moving towards faculty and institutional autonomy, revamping curriculum, pedagogy, assessment, and student support for enhanced student experience. Reaffirming the integrity of faculty and institutional leadership, position through merit appointments and career progression based on teaching, research and service. Establishment of a National Research Foundation to fund outstanding peer-reviewed research and to actively seed research in universities and colleges. Governance of higher education institutions by highly qualified independent boards having academic and administrative autonomy. This is the most important aspect. Earlier it used to be more centralized. Now we are trying to give the kind of freedom and autonomy to the institution itself. So they'll have the freedom to decide their future and build a strong institution. Light but tight. Regulation by a single regulator. Earlier we had many regulators. For engineering we had a separate technical board. For teaching we had a teachers council. Like this for each profession we had a different regulators. Now we are having a single regulator where all the regulators will be part of one body. So since we are into multidisciplinary, we are going for a multidisciplinary, this will be the way forward. Increased access, equity and inclusion through a range of measures, including greater opportunities for outstanding public education, scholarships by private and philanthropic universities for disadvantaged and underprivileged students. Particularly the any left-out section, we do have a very special program. How much of they want to learn? We have an earmarked a big fund, which is being encouraged post-independence. The socially disadvantaged section of the society have given the topmost priority, the first right. The first right has been given to the socially disadvantaged section. If they can pursue their education till whichever level they want, and education for women is free of cost until they post-graduation. The government institution is being provided free of cost, and particularly for the marginalized sections, they've been given a lot of opportunity. They can learn how much they want. All their fees will be completely reimbursed, the accommodation, the learning fees, everything will be completely reimbursed. It's only getting them into the education system is the most important, getting them into the mainstream. Probably in this direction, we are trying to emphasize more on the online learning also and open distance learning. And all infrastructure and learning material is accessible and available to the learners with disabilities also. Transforming the governance of higher education system, regulation of higher education has been heavy-handed for decades with concentration of power with few bodies. So which we are trying to remove it and completely decentralize, and it will be a complete transformation with the best practices of the world across what we see the best practices being adopted. Similarly, we are going to adapt the similar lines to ensure that each and every institution becomes completely autonomous. It is to overall the regulatory system in order to re-energize the higher education sector and enable it to thrive. It is also to create checks and balances in the system, minimize conflicts of interest, and eliminate concentration of power. It is the effective governance and leadership that enables the creation of a culture of excellence and innovation of higher education. The common feature of all world-class institutions globally, including India, has been the existence of strong self-governance and outstanding merit-based appointments of institution leaders. So with regard to this implementation of the national education, the third national education policy, 2020 in Karnataka, my state, we have taken measures for the implementation. We were the first state to go for the implementation of the national education policy. Without even thinking twice, we took all the initiatives and measures for implementation. The state of Karnataka is the first state in the country to develop an implementation framework to realize the vision and goals of NEP 2020. Well before the report was accepted by the Government of India on 29 July 2020, Karnataka government had constituted a task force in the March 2020 to suggest a implementation framework for NEP 2020, the state had also constituted the subcommittees with regard to the school education, curriculum reforms in higher education, transforming governance and regulation in higher education. So the task force and the subcommittees have submitted their reports and basically a roadmap for the implementation in the terms of curricular reforms, legislative action, structural transformation, and administrative changes. So the academic reforms, student-centric, holistic, multidisciplinary undergraduate education. The silent futures are multi-entry, multi-exit options built into program. Successful completion of undergraduate program you get in a 1 year. If you can complete successfully 1 year, he gets an undergraduate program certificate. If he completes 2 years, he will get a diploma in undergraduate. If he completes 3rd year, it's a degree program, degree what he'll get. If he completes 4 years of UG program, he'll get an honors degree. And if he can continue the education for 1 more year, for the 5th year, he'll get a master's degree. And there's no complete, flexible, no hard separation. There's no hard separation. Freedom to choose core subjects and open electives. 2 core disciplines are program core in any of the programs. Mandatory skill and ability enhancement courses. It is mandatory to have skill and ability enhancement courses. Courses on ethics, most important. On ethics and human and constitutional values are integral part. Because we get a lot of education, it is ethics and morals are the important things which are missing now in the education. We become so selfish without having a social commitment and having a concern for the society. Always driven by the self-interest only. So we want people to gain learning should be more towards the society, how we can help and transform the society. The learning should be channelized towards the society. So we are insisting more on the ethics and morals. That's the important part. So it should be well integrated. Open electives, health and wellness, life skills are built into curriculum because you should know how to take care of yourself. Basically, knowing many things doesn't know how to take care of himself is a really missing component. We want each and every person to be responsible for himself and health and wellness. Course on ethics. Open electives in any discipline and vocational courses are integral part. We do have a large educational infrastructure with regard to the skill development. We are working on the urban scope model so that each and every schools get connected with the respective institution, ITI, community colleges, engineering colleges, polytechnics. All this we have in a great big numbers. We have more than in state of Karnataka, more than 250 engineering colleges. We have more than 250 community colleges. We have more than 1,000 vocational training institutions. And we have high-end institutions where the skilling is given a topmost priority. We have more than 50 institutions. And we have universities, more than 75 universities in the state of Karnataka, public universities 25. Now we are going to increase that number within a matter of next 1 year. We will ensure each district will have a public university, and we are encouraging the private university, deemed university, and we are encouraging each institution to become autonomous, and by institution itself upgrading into a university. So we are trying to be very flexible and encouraging, allowing many things to happen in each of the institution. So blended learning also up to 40% credits through authorized online courses, restructured and updated curriculum, and academic bank of credit transfer allowed across country, across the world, and continuation of education on the same level with the credit transfer. In any of the higher education institution, you can continue on the same level with the credit transfer. That is the kind of flexibility we are bringing in. Basically, the NEP curriculum design is aimed at recognizing, identifying, and fostering the unique capabilities of each student, developing creative potential of each individual, well-rounded personality and employability. Foundational capacities, highest order of cognitive capacities. So multilingual, we have a lot of diversity. We have more than 2,000 languages in our country. In my state itself, we have many languages. So We are going to emphasize more on multilingual and program offered in the local language as well as English medium. Aligned to the National Skill Qualification Framework, the first year it will be level 5, second year it will be level 6, third year it will be level 7, fourth year the honors it will be at level 8, and fifth year it can be the master program of level 9. Pedagogy also teaches art of learning, teaches with the art of learning, conceptual understanding, creative and critical thinking, and extensive use of technology. NET revised assessment, formative assessment, conceptual understanding, and continuous and comprehensive evaluation. Complete evaluation system also, instead of summative assessment, we are going to completely change. Already we have adapted and we have started doing things. Now it's now 70% is on 70 to 50% is based on formative assessment, and remaining is in the summative assessment. So transformation has been happening in a very big way, and will continue to do so. Skill courses through collaborations, technology-based skill courses is being offered to all the students, whichever program it might be. Non-computer disciplines also have been provided with the digital fluency, artificial intelligence, cyber security. First year it will be digital fluency, second year artificial intelligence, cyber security for the third year. Even the certification from the respective companies like Microsoft, Cisco, they can even get the certified by those respective units. This has been offered to non-engineering students for all programs, and it is mandatory. Under the skill and ability enhancement, it is being made mandatory, and we have provided the infrastructure, training, add-on programs up to 1,000 per 1,000 program, add-on programs also have been provided free of cost. Financial literacy, apprenticeship, internship and apprenticeship, and project. All this has been very well integrated. Earlier it was for a few weeks, now it is increased to 36 weeks. So technology integration has also happened in a very big way. The digitalization of the entire education system has happened in our higher education in the state of Karnataka. Smart classroom device being provided to all the children whoever is pursuing in the public institutions. They are all being provided with the devices also. And helplines have been provided, and outreach programs have been encouraged in a very big way. And we are very sure within a matter of the next 25 years, probably we are now celebrating the Amrit Mahotsav. Within a matter of next 25 years, it will be a completely transformed place. State of Karnataka definitely will become most developed and most promising. Whatever skill is required for the entire world, we will be able to provide. Each and every person will be skilled, will get a right kind of quality education, right kind of emerging areas, future skills. All possible education will be provided. We are working in that direction, and we are very confident we will be able to achieve all these things within a matter of next 25 years. It will be the best time for our country under the leadership of our Prime Minister. And I belong to the state of Karnataka. We want to ensure that state of Karnataka will be the best place for education, for the economy, progression, socially and economically. For all good reasons, the state should be known worldwide. So that is the kind of importance we are providing, and that whatever transformation reforms we are bringing, we are not wasting any more time. With regard to the administrative governance reforms, legislation, curriculum, in all the aspects, we are moving very fast and trying to move forward and ensure the implementation happens within the specified deadlines. With these few words, I will not take much of your time. Let me start, otherwise it will go on. And we are doing best practices and it's working out fantastically. Particularly the technology integration is playing a very immense role. It can change. Integration of technology learning can make a huge difference with a very good cost effective, and the learning quality can also provide an assessment of the students, and it can happen very effectively. Yes.
Thank you very much for your talk. I wanted, you spoke, Honorable Minister, about equity and inclusion being at the heart of your policy on education, and particularly the inclusion of women from marginalized communities. I wonder whether you see any contradiction then with what we've been seeing in Karnataka under your leadership, where we have seen young Muslim girls and young women being systematically excluded from their colleges purely because they're expressing their faith by wearing a hijab, that under your watch we have seen these young women students being taunted and harassed by gangs shouting Islamophobic abuse, empowered by the ruling party. That under your watch, we have seen Muslim women teachers being humiliated at the school gates and compelled to uncover simply to pursue their employment. And then most recently, for example, we've seen an institution, an educational institution in Karnataka being used for an arms training camp by the Bajrang Dal, which is a well-known violent paramilitary organization responsible for many mob lynchings and murders of Muslims, of Christians, of Dalits. So I wondered whether the minister really sees a contradiction there in what you just said.
If I could just use my chair's prerogative here. Love the question, but we're going to run out of time if we overrun in the first session. So I'd love for you to take that up maybe in the break. And I want to just focus a little bit more on Commonwealth and education in this session, if that's okay.
I think the points I've made, I'm sure people will agree, are very relevant questions of equity.
Sure. So if we could do very, very briefly, and then if we've got any education questions from
You
other
can ask the question very shortly. Don't have to repeat. We'll answer. So, thank you. Your question asked? Okay. So basically, let me make it very clear. India is a completely, truly a democratic country. Here there is no discrimination. To be very clear, there is no discrimination. Uniform is prescribed to each and every school. In this matter, there have been repeatedly many judgments being given time and again to not to have any kind of discrimination inside the classroom, not in the public space. Inside the classroom, each and every student, irrespective of their faith, all of them need to wear a common uniform. So this rule was brought in the year 1995 itself. The same was insisted and implemented in a proper democratic way. And let me complete, ma'am. No, this is narrative is set by Western group. This is just trying to politicize. See, no, I'm just in here. Let me answer. You can't ask me what to answer. I'll answer. Yes, you have to hear. Yes, you need to hear me. See, some of the people, they try to, take up this kind of situation for an advantage. There's no question of discrimination. Discrimination cannot happen. We as in a philosophy, as in a culture also, Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, we care for the human value, universal human values. And India is known for the tolerance, inclusiveness. There is no question of discriminating any person. We need to live by example. We live with cordiality, communal harmony. We respect each other's culture. We have many cultures. India doesn't have one or two cultures.
So I
we
really
have
do
many
need to.
It's acceptable that.
Yes.
I really do need to just say we need to move on to another question.
No, you're wrong completely. Please don't. We are very clear about it.
Another quick question. Honourable, thank you very much for your speech. It was very insightful. This is an amazing vision that the new education policy. So first of all, to commend the government of India on putting forward this vision. My question, also coming from an economist that I am, is to ask the question about resources. We've got this great vision and this great new policy. And I was thinking that India is a huge nation. The scale is unprecedented by any measure. Complexity, as you pointed out. The question to ask, and it might be my ignorance, I don't know, whether the government at the state level or the central level, how much resources is put in terms of infrastructure. So you talked about online, you need to get internet across infrastructure.
Very important question. Very
so
important.
was
When it comes to the
resources behind this amazing vision.
Yes.
Thank you.
So many a times, what used to happen, sir? So the priorities is to be more than the money. What I feel as an education minister for the past 4 years, 10 months, what I've seen, the priorities not being very clear. Utilization of the existing facility is very important. There are many facilities available. It's all how you teach them. The method of teaching also matters a lot. With my experience, with the short experience, what I've seen, the methods are not been good. Rote learning cannot be encouraged. The conceptual, hands-on, problem solving, integrate with the community, with the environment, with the system. There's a lot of opportunity. There's a vast resources. India has got a human resources plenty. And what we have been spending also is not a small money so far. You'll not believe it. There are many schools. 90% of the government schools, we have admissions, 5, 10 children, 5, 10, 20 children. Now what we are doing is we are pooling those children into one school in each panchayat. So that the teachers will be available in plenty. Now in my class, I have 2 teachers for one class. So only thing is how you restructure and prioritize the learning system and how it should be emphasized, what kind of expectation you have, how you emphasize what method of pedagogy also matters a lot, and learning system also matters. And resource, how much you will spend it is less. My take is how much you will spend it is less. In this direction, we have been spending 4% of the GSDP. 4% at present we have been spending 4%. And we will continue, and digital technology is also coming in a very big way to help us. Even the EduTech, there's a vast, I don't know where the other place what's happening, but EduTech is happening in a very big way in my country. The technology has been adapted in a very big way, and it is definitely benefiting. Whatever I've been talking about, the emerging skills, now we are able to provide to each and every student. You believe it or not, whatever the digital learning, financial, accounting, all these parts are being very well integrated. And we are also insisting government to give more resources. Actually, the target is 6%. Now, at present, we are spending
6% is a lot.
yeah, 6% is a lot, isn't it? And 4 at present, we are spending the state of Karnataka. We want to increase it to 6%.
Thank you, sir. Actually, I am Sukumar from University of Leeds. I come from medicine background. I hear a lot about IT and technology. I would like to hear about your plans for training healthcare professionals. As you know, India lacks a lot of healthcare professionals, especially for the rural areas. Is there anything for training healthcare professionals, doctors and allied health in the new education policy?
Yes, sir, definitely this direction, the medical education is being given more topmost, health and medical education is being given topmost priority. We are initiating a lot of health and wellness clinics across the country. We are going to add 30,000 more health and wellness clinics across the country. And we do have a lot of resource, and we are trying to use resource in technology also. MedTech is being adopted in a very big way for the remote medical care. And probably a matter of time, I think the health will get a topmost priority. And we have been working in that direction. Even during this COVID-19, we were able to manage it very effectively. And under this national education policy, the medicine has not been brought. It's not been brought. The law on medical education is not been under this national education policy. There is a separate regulatory body which has not come under the national education policy. You know, a lot of transformation is happening. Even in the MedTech has been given the topmost priority to ensure that accountability, transparency, there's no delay, services, improve the healthcare.
Wonderful. I think that's all the time we have for questions now. I'm really sorry. I'm really sorry. We're running on not on Indian timing. We're running on not even British time. I'd love to run on German timing, which is just 10 minutes before everything. I know that's not going to be possible, but British timing is the compromise between the German and the Indian. So with that, can we give Dr. Narayan a huge round of applause? So as we've heard, I think in the speech and as well as the questions on the floor, there are shared values of democracy, constitutionality, and working together. You see behind me the words progressive, diverse, inclusive. What Bridge India believes very much is that this conference over the 2 days is about ideas for India, plural, not an idea, not another idea, but it's about looking ahead next 25 years and seeing where we imagine our own idea or ideas of that vision are. I really want to just invite on stage, before we get into our next session, Dr. Manish Malhotra from ATMC. A little bit of an intro to him. I have to say, I don't know his kind of formal biography, but from what I know of him, he's a bit of a rock star. He's always dressed like a superstar. So that I need to learn from him. I haven't tied a tie in the last 2.5 years, so I think I've forgotten. But he's a bit of a rock star. He's built a huge education business in Australia, New Zealand, and now in the UK, working with Federation University, Monash, and lots of higher education providers across the world. Can I just ask Manish just to introduce himself and ATMC, and then get on to the panel next?
Thanks, Pradeep. Okay, so I should have known that before. I probably would have worn another suit. But lovely to be here. I have to say this is my first time in this conference, and a great place to be. I would like to thank the Minister for his amazing note. Especially, I think a couple of these things absolutely stuck there.